Live content accounts for almost a quarter of global viewing time. Live video generates 27% more minutes of watch time per viewing than on-demand video. Live streaming is a $70 billion industry. What does it all mean? Let's find out on the Why I Go Live podcast with Coach Kirk.
And this is always great and fun and exciting when we can have a good friend, somebody that I look up to, somebody I highly respect in the industry, to come through and hang out today to chill with us on the podcast. But I mean, specifically to answer this particular question. But before we get to that, Chris, what's good, man?
How are you, Kirk? Man, the honor is mine. For those of you who missed the podcast before the podcast,
that's like, right.
You know, we have this time frame to talk. We already took it up with the talk before the talk. Honestly. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you and
Absolutely.
Talking about one of my favorite topics in the world, man.
Look, listen. That's why you had to be on. We had to have you on. We did this. There was no way I could do this podcast without a certain list of people, and Chris Stone is definitely on that list.
Thank you, man.
I want you to just take a quick second just to kind of talk about some of the stuff that you do. I want to make sure that the podcast audience knows who you are. We had a previous podcast, and of course we had you on as a guest, but we just want to reintroduce you one more time. Talk about, some of the things that you do. Of course, we want to hear about Dealcasters a little bit as well, and then we're going to ask you that main question.
All right. My name is Chris Stone. I'm at Castahead at castahead.net, and I work with motivated entrepreneurs to do a show because, as you know, Kirk, most people, they don't want to know how to make a show. They just want one, and that's what right. we do for them.
That's right.
And I started 28 years ago in the music business, working for Sony, working with artists to make them look and sound their best. So that's why it made perfect sense for me to do this in the podcasting space, working with content creators, working with people to share their message with the world. And I also co-host a show on Amazon with my good friend Jim Fuse, and the show's called Dealcasters, and we go and solve people's problems in the middle of the biggest mall of the world.
I love it, man. In the biggest mall of the world. I love that. And so, man, he is exactly the type of person I wanted to make sure we front load our podcast as we get everything launched. And in several of these first episodes, you're going to hear from a lot of content creators, people who are in this space. And I think some of you are going to be like, this is the ultimate cheat code. I mean, these guys, of course, they're going to want to go live. But I think, you've been watching, you've been listening to these so far, and you've heard some of their answers. And I think that they will surprise you in terms of its impact. Why somebody goes live. There's some internal reasons, but then there are some external reasons. There's some things that we have all experienced that we did not know was an outgrowth of us going live. Could never have planned it that way, but now that we've experienced, it's like, I'm adding that to the column of why I go live. And so, man, we don't want to belabor the point. We're excited that Chris is here, but we're putting you in the hot seat right now, man. Chris Stone, why do you go live?
This is such a great question. It's such a great topic for a podcast. I wish it existed years ago when I did decide I was going to go live. But one of the things that going live did for me is to help me not overcome because I'm a recovering perfectionist. So it helped me to try and overcome my perfectionism. I would slave for hours and hours and hours on a video, on an audio, on getting rid of the ums and the clicks and the you knows and all of the things that I probably said 14 times already on this podcast.
Yeah.
But, I realized that when you get on stage and you speak in front of people, I don't care if it's a conference room of 10 people or if it's a stage in front of thousands. Of people.
Yeah.
You don't just sit back and hit play on a video while you sit in the audience and watch it. You get on stage.
That's right.
And you deliver that message.
Yeah.
And the only way to get better at doing that is to do it. And then to fail and to do it again and to do it and to do it and to get better. And not to listen to the people that are maybe have some terrible things to say to you, but to listen to the constructive criticism and to get better. I mean, there's no question it gets you more confident as a presenter. It gets you to become a better person at helping people. We mentioned earlier about going live in the biggest mall of the world. Jim and I didn't realize, we didn't intend to try and make money when we went live on Amazon. Our intention was to show everyone that we were remote producers and what we could do. And there was this sandbox where we had to get people's attention with pattern interrupts and all these things. And then all these people showed up in the chat and they said, hey, what do I do if I want to get a podcast mic? What are the best pair of headphones to be able to do this?
There it is.
And we were like, okay, well, this is the kind of stuff we do with our clients already, except now we're doing it in front of thousands, and on Prime Day, tens of thousands of people.
Tens of thousands, exactly.
And here we are at the precipice of someone pushing a buy button online, and we helped them to solve their problem. And so we became instantly better presenters because we were helping people, and we were seeing that sort of happen immediately. But it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah.
One of the things that this reminds me of, I'm a big, huge fan of traditional jazz, mostly like 60s era bop music.
This is why we are good friends, my friend. This is why we're good. So, no. You got to have some Boney James and some Thelonious Monk.
Okay. Now Monk. Okay, now. Okay, so yeah, Monk is definitely in my lane. So Wayne Shorter, who's a saxophonist in Miles Davis's quartet in the mid '60s.
Yes.
So Miles Davis, I'm a huge Miles fan, and so one of the things that I don't know the quote exactly, but he basically wanted the band to practice on the stage.
Yes.
There was no practice. The practice was on the stage because what he was looking for was not the stuff that you have practiced and that you're putting on stage. Ooh. He wanted the stuff that was the practice. He wanted that so on his stage. And he said something like, I don't, I pay you to practice on the bandstand in front of people, I believe is what he said. And that really got me. That really cut to the bone on me. Is like, listen, if you're going to get better, like you're not going to get better not doing anything.
Come on.
You've got to do it. You got to put the reps in and just get better and move forward. And that's really what mostly it helped me become better at overcoming my perfectionism.
Man, I love that quote. And I love, first of all, this is a personal thing. And I've said this before, there is no right or wrong answer to this question. Why do you go live? There's no right or wrong answer here. Your answer is your answer is your answer. And I love that you made it really personal. I'm excited and honored that you felt, open enough to share something like perfectionism, because I think that's probably coming as a surprise to many people. Like, live helped with perfectionism. But I love the story that you've used, because there is a component with live that I am getting reps in. And even though I want to say this for, some of my coaching clients who might be listening, you do still have to prepare.
Yes.
You do prepare. I want to be clear, even with that band as they were playing on the stage. And yes, he asked them to try some things that you've never tried before on stage, but they prepared to do that ahead of time. Preparation practicing in front of people doesn't necessarily mean you haven't prepared for that. Right. And I love that, because that I cannot tell you how that is such a great description of what live streaming has been for me as well. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I want to pose one other piece to you, just because it's you, Chris. I just want to throw this one out there. I always have a little curveball for folks, but because it's you, because I know the type of business that you're in. Mm-hmm. And you're very similar to me. You're a remote producer. You produce shows, podcasts, web shows, video content, repurposed content for clients. We do the same thing, and we've actually partnered up on some projects. And I love how you do it. I mean, it's just, you have your own flavor. I love it. And so, fam, if you haven't checked out his site, we're going to put that in the show notes. But I am almost certain that there is some kind of random thing that has happened because of a live show that you would never have thought could have happened, right? When you started to connect the dots, it's like, that was because they saw me live. And so I always want to pose this as they say, the monkey wrench. What is the craziest outcome you've had from a live show? Like, and I'll go first as you think, but right, because sometimes you never can tell. Some of you know that I currently serve as media pastor for my church, but many don't know is that media pastor position came out of my current senior pastor being a subscriber of my channel and him saying, this guy, if we put him in front of a church audience, it could be gold. So one of the fringe benefits I like to say that I go live, and I'm keeping this purposefully open, is that you don't know what's going to happen.
Come on. You don't.
You have no clue. And the example of that is somebody may call you to be a media pastor at their church.
That's it.
So now, all right. So now I've stalled long enough.
No,
I know
you
I
don't
threw
know
you a
what's
monkey
coming
wrench.
either, because I'm not going to give you one. I'm going to give you two.
Oh, perfect. I love this. Go ahead.
And it's twofold. I mentioned earlier Dealcasters.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think either one of these necessarily qualifies as quote unquote crazy. It's not like I spilled ice water in my lap and like whatever. Everybody has that sort of I forget to hit the record button, all of those things. But on Dealcasters, and this is when at first the light bulb went on for us. Not the first time we opened up our Amazon Associates account and saw a bunch of money in it all of a sudden. It wasn't that at all. It was that became like a...
but that wasn't a bad thing either.
Well, that didn't help. Or that didn't hurt, I should say. But it was the moment that we were live and we had finished our interview with our guest and we started demonstrating headphones, and somebody was chiming in and they were asking about particular headphones and the difference between headphone monitor and these other headphones that had some extra bass that was being added. And we were kind of like, well, Amazon's got a good return policy, so we always just kind of say maybe you get both pairs of headphones and return one. Because it's like comfort is a big issue, and you never know until you get them on your ears. That's kind of real stuff. So we're having other conversations, and about 15 minutes later or so, they chime in and they say, "I'm starting my podcast tomorrow. I'm getting 2 pairs of headphones. They're being delivered. I have this mic. I bought a Zoom H6." And I'm starting my podcast tomorrow. Wow. And that just lit us up. And we tell that story. This isn't the first time I've told this story. We tell that story because that is what still lights us up when we go on. Because we're just not, hey, look, we got, $8 a commission or something from that person. That person started their show the next day. Because of what we did.
That is impact.
That really just, I think about that. Every once in a while you get down a little bit about, the numbers are down or, whatever the stuff is. Yeah. You know what? What are we doing this for? Are you doing this for the numbers? Are you doing this for the money? No and no. This is why I do it.
This is why.
This is why I go live on Dealcasters, is because I'm helping people do that. The other reason why I go live specifically for Dealcasters and other shows, I'm a remote producer, and so I get to show people the kind of stuff that I can do. I can pull in this and I can pull in that. And if you're a fan of Kirk Nugent, you're seeing the shows, and I don't know how many times I've watched his show and I went, how did he do that? And I know, and I know Kirk Nugent, so I can call him or I can ask him and go, Kirk, how did you do that? And oh man, and then usually he tells me 17 different things I don't understand, but I eventually, might be able to figure it out.
That's so dope.
But I had another instance where I have a client, a current client, and that client contacted me, and they said, I'm looking here at this episode that you have. It's in your interviewing.
That's it.
This person.
Yeah.
And you did this and you did this. I want that. How much?
Period, point blank, end of story.
And they shut up and let me tell them. Wow. And that person is a client of mine. And so that is another reason why you go live, to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Maybe not you're not a remote producer.
Maybe
you want to be a podcast host. Maybe you want to demonstrate your sales ability. Maybe you have no better way to show them, no better way to present to them a resume, a repertoire of what you're able to do and execute live online than in this medium.
Livestream is your digital storefront.
Yes, sir.
Because there's no greater way for people to experience your superpower than for them to see you do it live. That, sir, is exactly why we go live. And you couldn't have said it better. I just want to double click on it. It does not matter. You could be a finance expert. You could be a real estate, a mogul. You could be a motivational speaker. You can be in the tech space, right?
Pest controller. I talked to a pest controller who has a podcast.
Yeah. Listen, I was talking to a copywriter. Right, copywriters.
Yeah,
and she also moonlights reviewing people's manuscripts for their books. And she didn't realize how big an audience there was for reviewing manuscripts. And she started to kind of going live and detailing some of the things that she does. And other manuscript readers are like, I'm subscribed. What more do you have? You just never can tell what is going to happen while live. I mean, there's so much more that we can dive into. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but Chris, is there any final thing you want to say to folks as we get ready to close this thing out today?
I would just say a couple of other things is, people toss around authenticity a lot.
Yeah.
But when you go live, it is you. And so what better way to show people who you are than to go live? People might not trust you if you have some over-edited thing. So this is another reason why it's important and imperative for you to put in those reps. And eventually, when they do get, the good news is, Kirk, the first time you go live, it probably won't be good.
It's not going to be good.
But nobody's going to see it probably either, right?
Yeah,
But that gets you through it, and seconds can be better than the first, and so on and so on. And eventually, when they see you, you're ready.
You're ready.
You're ready to go. And then the final thing is, if you're in the business that we're in, and we do a lot of repurposing our content.
Oh.
And it's like using, I guess, all parts of the pig, right? or maybe a better way of saying it is honor the whole animal.
The whole animal.
So take that 1 hour interview or video or whatever that you did, and you can use that for for years.
Oh,
it creates a legacy for you. Don't look at it as this is a live video and it just sits up on the digital shelf. Like, this isn't your opportunity to honor the whole animal and repurpose this content into various formats. And the live video is the session. It is the engine. It is the origination of all of that content. And so I would just, I guess, really just want to double click, to use a word that that you are on that, and be able to say, like, listen, if there's anything that you need to do is to be able to do that and use it as the origination point for all of this content.
That's so good. That's so good. I don't want to belabor it. It's just, I do have a client who's very strapped on time. He's got about 2 hours a month that he can spare for content creation. He recognizes that it is critical for his business, so he puts those 2 hours on the calendar. And in those 2 hours, half hour of it is prep, but the other hour and a half is live. Beautiful. And in that hour and a half of live, we get all the content we need, probably for 4 months, but he's doing it once a month. So we have multiple layers of content. So what you're saying right now, absolute gold for the coach, author, consultant, for the entrepreneur, the solopreneur, for the business owner who's looking for ways to meaningfully step into the content space. You might want to consider going live. I want to say a word of thanks to our guest here today, Chris Stone from Cast Ahead. You are a consummate professional, my friend. Can't thank you enough for sharing your time, your expertise with the audience, and we will catch you in the next one. I want to say this as we close to my audience. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Your live stream is your digital storefront. Your live stream can help you grow and engage an audience. Your live stream can help establish you as a thought leader. But if you're in business, your live stream can help you set up a steady streams of referral-based opportunities because they are what you make of them. And if you want to make money out of them, hey, that's up to you. It's my pleasure to host this podcast. My name is Kirk Nugent. Also go by the Geek Speaker Preacher, and I'll see you around these internet streets or in the next podcast. Later, fam.
Why I Go Live, hosted by Coach Kirk, is a composition production. Real streamers, honest stories, and incredible impact. Add your voice to the conversation. Go to kirkrnugent.live/member to join the community. And let's figure out how it all works.